What if the official history of a legendary K-pop company wasn't the whole story? It's amazing how sometimes just one little off-the-cuff comment from a founder can accidentally spark a huge debate. And that's exactly what we're diving into today with one of K-pop's giants, JYP Entertainment.
Okay, so it all started right here, with this quote. JY Park, the founder himself, was on the TV show Radio Star, and he was talking about how successful the company has become. In the process, he kind of boiled down the company's history into this one sentence, giving all the credit for the physical buildings, both old and new, to these four groups. And on the surface, hey, it's a simple, powerful story.
But that simple story immediately got people asking a really important question, one that just exploded online in fan communities. What about all those years in between? I mean, if one generation built a foundation and another one built the shiny new skyscraper, who is paying the bills and making sure the whole thing didn't fall apart in the middle? And that question, right there, is where the real story begins. All right, so first up, let's actually unpack the official history, the one JY Park laid out. This is his narrative, a story told through two huge eras of success, built on the backs of four key groups, or pillars, if you will. So, the first part of this story, it's all about these two absolute legends. You've got Rain, a solo artist who just blew up and became this international star, and of course, the Wonder Girls, a group whose songs were basically the soundtrack for an entire nation. Their success was everything at the beginning. According to the founder, they were the ones who brought in the money that literally built the company's first iconic headquarters. They laid the groundwork.
And then we jump to the modern era for the second half of the story. And here you have TWICE, a group that just completely rewrote the rules for commercial success, and Stray Kids, whose global power is just, well, it's undeniable, with multiple number ones on the Billboard charts. Their insane growth and the massive revenue they brought in are what paid for the brand new state-of-the-art JYP building. So you have the founders who built the house and the expanders who built the empire. It's a really clean story. But is it the full story?
And this is where it gets really, really interesting. Because JY Park's comment wasn't just treated like some fun little anecdote. No, it kicked off a huge debate. A lot of people felt that this very clean, very neat narrative left out some people who were, well, absolutely crucial to the story.
And this, right here, pretty much sums up the whole debate that just erupted online. On one side, you have the builders. Those are the four groups from the official story. But on the other side, you have the groups that fans immediately started calling the saviors. The point wasn't that the builders weren't important, everyone agrees they were, but that the saviors were completely and totally left out of the picture.
So let's look at the evidence, right? Let's dig into the public record, because fans were quick to pull up the receipts, pointing to a whole period of time where the company's entire fate was basically resting on the shoulders of artists who didn't get a mention in that quote.
This quote from an online forum, wow, it really captures just how strongly people feel about this. For a huge part of the 2010s, 2PM was the financial engine of JYP. It's been said over and over that they were generating the most revenue for the company, a massive amount of it coming from their non-stop touring, especially over in Japan. For fans who were there, 2PM wasn't just another successful group. They were the company's actual lifeline.
And it wasn't just 2PM holding down the fort. You had Bae Suzy from Miss A, who became this national icon. She was a one-woman revenue machine. Her solo work, especially all those high-profile commercials and endorsements, brought in a steady stream of cash that the company desperately needed. And right after them, GOT7 shouldered so much of the weight, going on huge tours that pumped serious money into the company before TWICE and Stray Kids really hit their peak.
And this quote, man, this just hits the nail on the head. This is the core of the whole counter-argument. The fan perspective isn't about just adding a few more names to a thank you list. It's about completely reframing what they did. The argument is that these artists weren't just keeping the lights on. Their success was the only thing that stopped the company from having to sell the very building that Rain and the Wonder Girls had built. They were playing defense, and they were saving everything.
So, we've got two pretty different stories here, don't we? We've got the founder's story of the builders, and we have the fan story of the saviors. So how do we put them together? Let's try to build a more complete picture of how the JYP house really stands.
This table really helps put it all into perspective. First, you've got Rain and the Wonder Girls. Everyone agrees they are the founders, the ones who created all that early success. Then you have 2PM. They were left out of the official story, but fans see them as the lifeline, providing that rock-solid financial stability when the company needed it most. After them, you have Suzy and GOT7 as the sustainers, who kept the money coming in from different places and carried the company forward. And that brings us to TWICE and Stray Kids, who everyone agrees are the modern builders, taking that foundation and just blasting off into a new era of global expansion. You see? Every role is different, but every single one is vital.
And that's really what this is all about, isn't it? The story of building something truly great, whether it's a huge company or, anything else, is almost never as simple as just a few names on a plaque. Success is like a relay race. Some people run that first leg and get you started. Other people have to run the hardest part in the middle, just to keep you in the race, and then others get to sprint across the finish line. This whole story is a great reminder that the people who save and sustain a dream are just as important as the ones who start it and finish it.
Which leaves us with one last thing to think about. When we tell the stories of the things we build together, who gets to decide which parts are remembered? Who is the author of that official history? And what's our job in remembering all the other crucial parts of the story that might get left on the cutting room floor?